Welcome to the To Be Honest podcast. Today we have Julia Steele. She is a singer and songwriter from the Bay Area who has used music as a way to heal herself from depression and PTSD that stemmed from a traumatic car accident she experienced as a teenager. Today she still uses music for her own self-care, but she also uses it as a tool to help others who have experienced similar mental health issues. So please welcome Julia to the podcast.
Hi, it's great to finally meet you. I'm so excited to be here today and to talk about my experience and maybe help some people along the way.
Yeah, thank you for being here and sharing your story. I'm excited for you to share it with myself and everyone listening. So before we start, I want to ask every guest, to be honest, how are you doing today?
To be honest, I'm pretty nervous to share my experience because I haven't really been super open about it, especially through the internet. So this is kind of a first for me. So yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can make you feel as comfortable as possible. I know I'm sure it's very nerve-wracking, but I think a lot of people will benefit from hearing your story. So I'm excited for you to share it. So to start off, would you mind just touching a bit on the car accident that kind of triggered your experience with a mental illness?
Yeah, so basically I was in a car accident at the age of 14. Um, at first I didn't remember what happened, so I basically woke up all of a sudden in the hospital. And like I had a really horrible pain in my head. My chest was all scraped up from the seatbelt. And my insides were like burning. And I was like, what the heck just happened? But I was like on a bunch of drugs and stuff like morphine and whatnot. And I looked up at my mom and I was like, what happened? And like the doctors, and they were like, you were in a car accident, a really bad car accident. And like, I was just like, what? Like, what is going on? And just my head was not there because I kept going in and out of consciousness because I had a concussion. So basically, they were going to airlift me over to Oakland Children's Hospital, but a storm came. It was actually raining during the accident. And eventually, I was told by everybody what happened in the accident. So basically, my boyfriend at the time, he turned left on a red at an intersection and a car T-boned on my side. So the car caved in. I now have like a dent in my head, and other stuff. I can go over that in a bit. But yeah, I was eventually taken to Oakland Children's Hospital, where they put me on the surgery floor for internal bleeding because I had a cut spleen. They told me I had a stage 4 concussion. But then eventually they realized I didn't need surgery. I was moved to a normal room. I had a great support system when I was there. And, you know, they were treating me for my physical wounds. I didn't realize like what mental wounds were going to come up later on. But when I got out of the hospital, that was when things started to get bad mentally. I was recovering for 2 weeks at home, and then I was sent back to my classes, and I couldn't remember any of my guitar that I learned, or anything from my classes, really. It was really scary. And my teachers at my school were super impatient with me. I had really bad grades. I had irritability. I couldn't focus on anything. And it was so frustrating. And my resentment started building toward my ex, well, now ex. And, you know, he kind of denied me sympathy from people when they would like say, I'm so sorry this happened to you. He felt guilty, which is totally understandable. Mm-hmm. And then I went through like bullying from other girls. And it just got to be way too much. And I ended up being homeschooled for the end of my freshman year of high school, where I saw a neurologist and a neuropsychologist. And I was then diagnosed with PTSD, depression, and anxiety from the accident. And I've been living with it ever since.
Oh, wow. So at what point did you well, when you first started experiencing symptoms of PTSD and depression, did you know who to reach out to, or was it your own doing, I guess, to find help, or were your parents kind of supportive in that manner?
Actually, I didn't have a name for it when I first started experiencing it. I was just like, what is going on with me? Like, I'm so unbelievably angry. Like, I was so irritable. I had these crazy outbursts, crying fits, and I just could not control it. It was just out of my control at that point, and nobody knew what to do with me. My teachers didn't know what to do. My parents didn't really know what to do, and I would ask them, like help me, please. And they were super supportive and got me the help I needed. But it's like when you don't know what it is, it's scary.
I'm sure. Yeah, I can't imagine. Especially, it sounded like you were around 14 when this all happened. And
Yeah.
at that point, you're still young and developing. And I mean, at that age, I didn't know what mental health was even. So I'm sure that's super scary and unfamiliar at that age.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So when you received your diagnosis, how did that make you feel?
Um, it actually helped to validate me, and it was relieving to have a word for what I was going through, or a few words, I guess, like a few diagnoses. Um, and yeah, it was relieving because I didn't feel like there was actually something wrong with me. Like it made me feel like I'm normal. I can look this up. There's other people who are going through this.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's so great that even though a mental illness is really scary and unfamiliar to people, it's something that kind of bonds you to other people and their experiences. Even though each experience is so different, it still is like a common, I don't know, I don't want to say like a common trauma, but it does kind of like bond you with someone else and you can relate to other people with a mental illness, I think,
Most
in a different
definitely.
way. Yeah. Um, so as you continued with getting treatment, was there a point where you felt the stigma around mental illness?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Mostly with my school. Uh, my neurologist and neuropsychologist were like floored by the way that my school was treating me. They treated like me like I don't know, like they had never seen something like me before. Like I was this troubled child that had so many issues, and it was just an inconvenience for them. Um, and it was just like I was thrown aside a lot. They just didn't want to have to deal with it. A lot of my teachers, would yell at me for asking for help. It was just ridiculous. And then other students, I mean, they were 14, 15. They were like, I don't know. We were all kind of immature already, so they didn't understand like why I was acting the way I was. And if I was in their shoes, I would feel the same way. It's like, what the heck is going on with this girl? She is causing so many problems, but I couldn't deal with it any other way. I just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, it's interesting. I can't imagine being like a friend at that age. Like, no, I wouldn't know how to support someone
Oh
who's
yeah.
going through something like that. Do you have any advice to people at that age who may have a friend going through something? Is there anything that you would tell them that they could do?
You know, I would say like it's normal to feel uncomfortable. I think with the subject because of the way that like society treats it. So it's good to get out of your comfort zone and to talk about it with them. And like, yeah, it might be like weird and like, yes, uncomfortable for you, but like it makes a world of difference to just like hear somebody out. And sometimes they won't even approach you and ask for help, but like if you just say like, hey, like I've noticed that it seems like you're going through something. Like, do you need any help? Like, do you just want to talk about it? Or do you just want to sit with me? Like we can just sit together. We don't even need to talk about it. Like, just that would be nice sometimes. Yeah, and oh, and triggers, like that's a big thing. Is like discussing triggers is so important because those build over the day or like weeks. So like something might happen and you don't realize that it awakens an emotion that you've had buried. And if your friends, get to know your triggers, it's actually really important, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think that's great advice. Thank you.
Mhm.
I think it's interesting you touched on how your teachers kind of saw what you were going through as like a behavior issue. And it seems like, at least from my perspective, I've seen a lot of mental illness or mental health issues seen as issues rather than looking beyond like what's happening and actually realizing there's something going on within the person's mind that is out of their control. I think that's really interesting. So thank you for bringing that up too.
Yeah, of course.
So I know you mentioned at one point that you 5150 yourself. Would you mind talking a bit about what that is and what that process was like?
Yeah, so I hope I get this correct. I mean, I was 15 when I did it, but I basically I asked the hospital. I called in, I think, and I was like, I need to go in, like for my mental health. And when you do that, they send you into, or basically when you're at risk for like suicide, uh, you go in and they basically make you sign all these waivers. And if you're underage, your parents sign it off as well. And they kind of gloss over what is going to happen. They're like, you're not going to be able to be in contact very much. And we are going to take over from here. Um, you know, my parents, they didn't want to do that because they were afraid. I was scared, but they were like, we need to get her as much help as she needs. And I was like, I want to do this. Like I need to go to the hospital. I didn't understand that, like what that entailed and how bad the system is. Like it is absolutely awful. Uh, like I went in thinking that they would help me, and like the moment that I was away from my parents, like they didn't let me say goodbye to them. They put a security guard at my door, and like they took everything away from me, all like physical items, pretty much. And then like I showed up late at night, and I was put into a shared room with a stranger, and I was like, I don't know this person. It's so uncomfortable. And then they don't have a door to the bathroom. It's like a what's it, curtain. Um, and they force everybody to take medication. People will have bad reactions to it. And then they tell you that you're going to be outside for a couple minutes, or like not a couple minutes. They tell you you'll be outside for like a few hours a day. And I was there for 3 days, and they literally had us go outside for like a couple minutes. It was insane. There were so many things that were just ridiculous that they put me and these other kids through. Like, and I say kids because we were kids. We were like these teenagers. We don't know what we're doing. We're just reacting to how scary the world is. And like the workers, some of them would yell at us and like threaten us with solitary confinement if people acted up. But of course, kids are going to be angry, like they're being forced into staying in this place, and they think that they're going to be getting help, but they're not. They're not. They're just forced to like consume these medications, and it's so sad the way that they treat them.
Sounds very isolating, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, like you're allowed visitors. Like my parents came, and then one of my friends came. But like they put on a face for them. They'll pretend it's like a good place. Like they're giving you help. But the one thing that came out of that was really good is it got me in touch with a psychiatrist. Um, and so like the psychiatrist, they can prescribe you medication, and it did help me a lot with my symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. But it was a lot to have to go through, especially at that young of an age.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I kind of wanted to ask, and I don't know if you'll have the answer to this, but I'm just curious, since you've been through that process, how would you go about changing the system now so that youth who were in your similar position don't have to go through that? Do you think that there's a solution to that?
I definitely think that there needs to be more funding. I'm not sure how much funding they get, but I can almost guarantee it's not enough, because that's usually the case for like why things are that bad. Um, they need to have more regulations for sure. Like probably background checks on the workers, better trading for them. They need more empathy, man. They need more empathy. Um, and treating people for different conditions. Like they basically they put everyone in the same place for everything. Like people might have drug abuse problems, I don't know, various mental illnesses, and they basically treat them all the same exact way, put them through the same exact program. Um, and they make you fill out these like journals all the time, and they feed you all the same food as well. So someone might have an eating disorder. So they will feed everyone, assuming that everyone might have one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds intense. I can't imagine. I mean, I guess, yeah, 3 days probably felt like, I don't know, a week, probably longer, just because you were trapped inside, it sounds like.
Yeah.
But from that point, what was your treatment like after being 5150?
I was put in touch with like this psychiatrist, uh, and he sucked. I mean, like I'm glad I like was put in touch with one. Like I started seeing one. I'm pretty sure like it was like I needed to at that point. Um, and I mean that's fine. Like I did need it. But yeah, he was terrible. He kind of just like signed off on things and didn't care about how I felt about anything. But then the second psychiatrist that I got from them, I requested him instead because I was like, this guy sucks. Um, yeah, he was better. He also lacked a lot of empathy. Every time I walked in, he's like, "You're getting really skinny," and assumed that I like had an eating disorder or something. And you know, that's something serious that people go through. And if I had been going through that, I haven't had one, but if I had, I don't think that's the right way to go about it. First of all, just like the lack of empathy is just like it floors me.
Yeah, you would think that people working in that field would have the most empathy considering the circumstances, but it sounds
Right.
like I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning would be for. I think, like you said, maybe a lack of training, and yeah,
Yeah,
just lack of empathy.
I'm sure there's people who work in that field that are great people. Like I'm I'm so sure. And I did meet a couple of people that like made the experience a little bit better. But for the most part, it was just hell.
I know music has been a large part of your life. So would you mind talking about like how you first became interested in music, and then kind of how that's helped your healing process along the way?
Yeah, so music has always been a big part of my life because my grandparents and my mom were professional opera singers,
Oh wow,
actually. Yeah,
that's
and
awesome.
yeah, super, super cool. A different experience than like what most kids might have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So it's definitely been like a huge part of my upbringing. We used to have like classical music all the time around us as children, me and my brother. Um, but I didn't start like writing music until I was 14. I had been in bands since I was like 10, but but yeah, like the writing part came much more after my accident, and it was like basically a form of therapy for me, a way of getting my thoughts and emotions onto paper and turning something that was so awful into something positive for me, a creative outlet. And I joined. I made a band with my friend I made at school. His name was Cameron. He's incredible, incredible musician. And my mood started improving. I still had a lot of problems, but I was able to communicate my emotions to people, and people would listen to me because I was on a stage. Like they were basically like forced to listen, which kind of sounds bad, but like it was what I needed. Like I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
yes, please listen to me.
You have a platform to, say whatever
Yeah,
you want.
yeah. And I was able to like sing this poetry and like sing about things that were kind of taboo to talk about. Like, I don't need to go into detail about it, but yeah, things that were looked down upon to talk about with like people on a regular basis. So yeah, and it helped me make friends. It just really helped me connect with people on another level.
Yeah. Do you guys still have the band today, or have you moved on to doing solo stuff?
So the band was called Record Line, and we came out with an album when I was 16, and it's on like streaming services and stuff. But no, we ended the band in 2016, I believe. Yeah. So I was 18 when we ended it, and then I kept writing on my own, like singer songwriter stuff, and then I formed another band called the Jukebox Breakers. But that ended up not really working out because we were all like in our early 20s trying to deal with school. Like college was so stressful. It's hard to find time sometimes, but now I'm making my own stuff. I came out with my EP at the beginning of this year. Um,
Congratulations. That's
Thank you. Thank
exciting.
you so much. Yeah. And I'm currently writing some new stuff, but I still use it as therapy for me 100%.
That's really great. And I know you kind of mentioned you help others too through music. Is that usually through like the words in your music, or is that through teaching people to play instruments, or how do you help other people?
I like to think that I help people with the words that I sing. I've kind of been like trying to calm people through like the way I play guitar as well. Like I choose to play a classical guitar because it's a nylon string, because I feel like it's much more soothing for me and other people. And I really like I've been trying to like play some like nice soothing covers on my Instagram just because it's such a stressful time right now. Like the world is already stressful enough, and right now like people are just like at their breaking point. But yeah, like words, I hope people listen to my words for my originals, because I do write them with other people in mind as well, not only like my own healing.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think it's interesting how, I don't know if you've experienced this, but like my fiance, he listens to like the beat of songs and I'm more listening to like words of songs. So that's how we like have our musical preferences. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's normal, but I was like, oh, I'm sure like some people listen to your words like, they love your music for your words, and some people love your music for the sound of it, and some people love it for both. So I think that's really cool how, you can like music in all different ways, and you're kind of catering to that too, sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, like actually me and my bandmates laugh about this because like they'll put on a song and I won't know what it is until the lyrics come in a lot of the time. And like they know like that. Like they know right away what song it is, who it was by. And I'm just like, I don't know this
Yeah.
until the singer comes on. So I
Yeah.
think like everyone has like their different thing that they're listening to.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Um, do you know specifically what the positive benefits are of listening to music or playing music or yeah.
Um, you know, scientifically, I think it helps with endorphins.
Hmm.
Um, I think that it's like a meditation thing. Like at least for me, like listening or not listening to it. I mean, yes, listening, but mostly playing my guitar because it's like I'm able to kind of like go somewhere else
Hmm.
and just like let my fingers play whatever comes out. And I like playing like the same thing over and over. A lot of people around me probably don't like that, but it's like nice and it helps me to just be inside myself and
It
calm down.
sounds, yeah, it sounds almost like it's I don't say mindless because obviously your brain is working, but it's almost like, I don't know, like for me, it's like washing the dishes. Like I know what I'm doing already. So it's like just like a
Yeah,
mindless activity where I can, it's like calming for me. I don't know. It
right.
sounds similar to you and
Yeah,
playing music.
that's a good way to talk about it because like I think I'm not sure about this, but I think every musician has like their like warm up, their that they do. And for me, my warm up is what really like I love playing it over and over because it's what I know the best and it like helps me calm down. So I guess it would be a little bit mindless in a way.
It's like, yeah, it's soothing. Yeah.
Mhm.
What advice would you give to someone experiencing mental health issues right now?
Oh man. Definitely put yourself first. Don't let the opinions of others guide what is ultimately best for you. Like I said earlier, know your triggers and let others around you know them because a lot of the time people don't know when they're triggering something in you. And they're not meaning to hurt you. So it's good to let them know and also be patient with people because it may be a new subject for them or just like a new experience for them to try to change how they act around you. Um, and also, like, don't beat yourself up for going back to old behaviors. Like, I know, like, healing is not linear. You're going to have your up days and down days, and sometimes it's going to last for weeks. Um, Something really bad might happen, or a really big trigger might happen, and it may seem like a setback, but it's not.
Definitely. I like that advice. That's great. Um, do you feel like there's something positive that's come from going through your whole experience from the car accident to being in the hospital to seeking treatment? What's something positive that's come out of this?
Definitely my music. That's like number one for me. Um, I think it has improved so much. I feel like it has given me another kind of I don't know. I would say like wisdom. It aged me early on, um, which is a blessing and a curse. But but as far as like the blessing, I guess it's like helped me find my purpose in life and develop empathy for other people because I know a lot of people end up going through these things or something similar. Um, and I think like it's helped me have deeper connections with other people because of that.
Definitely, absolutely. I'm curious what you want to do with music in the future. Are there plans for more coming out with more records or EPs, or yeah, what's your plan?
Yeah, so I actually have been playing with my old band, the Jukebox Breakers. Um, I mean, it's not my band; like we are a band. um, Yeah, so we have recorded a single. And I also have a bunch of music that I've been working on over quarantine mostly. And it's just been really a time for me to reflect my emotions and what's happened to me in the past few years and just like my lifetime. And so I'm going to be coming out with new stuff eventually. And hopefully when venues open, I'll be able to perform, but I can do that on Instagram Live or something.
That's true. I'm sure it's a little bit of a different feeling like performing live than it is virtually, but yeah, all in good time. I know I'm missing live music a lot too, so
Oh yeah, for
fingers
sure.
crossed we get back to some kind of normalcy soon. But
Yeah, definitely.
I also like that you touched on reflecting over this whole period of like shelter in place and COVID. I think that's really important because a lot of times we tend to look at the negatives and like, well, there are a lot of negatives. I think there are some positives to come from it. And it's nice to kind of take a second to like breathe and take a step back from like your everyday busy life and actually reflect on your experiences and this past year and really can kind of like plan for the future, which I think is kind of a cool outlook on this whole, 8 months of shelter in place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I think it's definitely a time for us to reflect and develop things that we may not have had the time for.
Would you mind sharing before we wrap everything up, maybe something that you do every day for self-care, something you do every week? Doesn't have to be every day.
Yeah, I take CBD every day. And I also, I really like roller skating now. It's not every day, but um, I do see a therapist regularly over Zoom. But that's also not every day. I don't have the money for that. I know a lot of people don't, but I also go through my school for therapy. There's a lot of like really great programs that colleges help with for that. I try to take care of myself. Self-care is important. I think like if you just get up out of bed and like wash your face first thing in the morning, it will make you feel like 10 times better. No matter how depressed you are, or how much anxiety you have, it definitely improves it at least a little bit.
Definitely. I think that's some great tips, some great advice. Where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram. I think you can search up my full name, Julia Steele, but my @ is Juliath, and it's spelled JOOLAIETH. And then my music is on Spotify, Apple Music, all the streaming services under Julia Steele, Little Blue Bedroom. And for my SoundCloud, it's also Juliath.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Julia. I really appreciate it. And thank you for being open and honest about your experience. I think, like I said before, I think it'll help a lot of people with whatever they're going through right now.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you. And we will see you next time.
Thank you so much. I had a great time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
If you were able to join us for the whole episode, thank you so much for listening. We are so grateful to have you and hope you choose to keep listening as we continue to share stories from youth and young adults in Santa Clara County. If you would like to learn more about To Be Honest and our podcast, please visit tobehonest.today. Our website has everything from mental health education to an online screening tool, resources, and so much more. And if you are interested in being a guest on the podcast and would like to share your own experience with behavioral health, please email us at tbh.today@gmail.com. We also have all of this information in the show notes, so we hope to talk to you soon. Bye.